Richard eased into the chair across from my desk in Tucson, the one with the cracked leather armrests that's heard more worries than I can count. 68 years old, retired from the post office after 35 faithful years, and still the grandpa who'd hoist his 4 grandkids onto his shoulders for piggyback rides around the backyard barbecue. But that afternoon, he didn't sit. He hovered, one hand gripping his belt like it was the only thing keeping everything together. "Doc," he whispered, voice barely above the hum of the old air conditioner. "This belly of mine is taking over, and I haven't changed a thing about what I eat since I was 40. We ran a routine CT scan, nothing fancy. The images lit up the screen, and there it was. The soft fat under his skin looked about right for his age, but deeper, coiled tight around his liver, heart, and pancreas like a dangerous vine, sat a heavy layer of visceral fat far more than anything on the surface. His primary doc in Phoenix had broken it down gently, Richard. It's not just the meals, it's the hundreds of inflammatory chemicals this hidden fat releases into your blood every single day, quietly taxing every organ you've got. Richard's eyes filled, and he asked the question that breaks my heart every time, Doc Hope. Is this simply what the rest of my life feels like now? Here's the part most waiting rooms never mention once you pass 60. Shifting hormones, fading muscle, and rising stress make visceral fat the body's favorite storage spot. Yet, and this still warms me clear through, at 86, visceral fat is also the most responsive. Give it the right nudge, and it shrinks faster than any other kind. I'm Dr. Hope. 50 years of family medicine, from coastal clinics in California to small-town offices across the Carolinas. And I've sat with over 25,000 patients just like Richard. I still see folks every Thursday at the senior center, because stepping away never felt right when there's hope to share. Today, in the next half hour, I'm walking you through the exact 6 strategies my patients use to cut visceral fat up to 73% in 30 days. No extreme diets, no gym marathons, no costly pills. You'll learn how to spark your metabolism at every meal, awaken your body's natural calorie burner, and set an eating rhythm that turns fat storage off while you sleep. Before we get started, drop a quick note in the comments. How old are you? And what state are you watching from? I read everyone and answer with a tip tailored just for you. Now, let's begin with the one foundation everybody over 60 is quietly asking for. Section 1. Protein timing. After age 60. Let me pull up a chair right here with you, because this first strategy is the quiet foundation that changed everything for so many of my patients, and it might just do the same for you. Protein after 60 isn't some extra credit on your plate. It's the gentle wake-up call your metabolism has been waiting for every single morning. You see, once we cross that 60 mark, our bodies start playing by a slightly different set of rules. Studies out of the Journal of Gerontology have tracked it clear as day we lose about 8% of our muscle mass every decade after 50. Think of muscle as your body's own little furnace, humming along even while you're sitting in your favorite recliner, watching the evening news. When that furnace shrinks, the fire burns cooler, and suddenly visceral fat that deep, dangerous kind wrapped around your organs starts piling up like fresh snow on a quiet Minnesota driveway in January. It doesn't ask permission. It just settles in. But here's where the hope comes in. And it's the part that still makes me smile after all these years. Your muscles don't just give up, they develop what the researchers call anabolic resistance. In everyday words, they get a little picky. They won't respond to protein the way they did at 40 or 50. Now, to get that repair crew, the one scientists call muscle protein synthesis, to show up and do its job. You need a solid 25 to 30 grams of protein at each meal, not spread thin across the day, but right there on the plate when you sit down to eat. I know that might sound like a lot at first, but it's simpler than you think. And the payoff is real. A 6-month study down at a VA hospital in Texas put this to the test with 387 veterans over 60. One group ate their protein however they wanted. Most saved the bulk for dinner. Just like old habits die hard. The other group. They aimed for 25 to 30 grams at breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Same total protein, same calories. But the timed group lost 23% more visceral fat. That's not just a number on a page, that's inches off the waist, easier breathing, and energy that sticks around past noon. Let me walk you through 3 plates my patients copy straight onto their grocery lists. Nothing fancy, just good American food you can find in any supermarket from Bangor to San Diego. Start your day with 3/4 of a cup of plain Greek yogurt that gives you about 18 grams right there. Stir in 2 scrambled eggs for another 12, and toss a handful of fresh blueberries on top. Boom! 30 grams before the coffee's even done brewing. And you're out the door by 9 feeling steady instead of sluggish. For lunch, picture 4 ounces of baked salmon laid over half a cup of fluffy quinoa with a side of steamed broccoli. That lands you right around 25 grams, keeps your blood sugar even, and leaves you sharp enough to enjoy that crossword puzzle in the afternoon. Come dinner. 4 ounces of grilled chicken breast alongside half a cup of navy beans and a generous helping of sautéed spinach. 30 grams. Easy. And it's the kind of meal that fills the house with that comforting aroma that says home. Now, the trap I see folks fall into everywhere Maine to California is the classic skimpy breakfast of toast and coffee, maybe a light salad at noon, then unloading a steak the size of Rhode Island at 8 o'clock. I get it. Dinner's when the family gathers, when the day slows down. But that pattern, it's like pressing the snooze button on your metabolism all day long, then expecting it to sprint at night. Visceral fat loves that rhythm. It thrives on it. Margaret walked this road, and her story still tugs at me. 71 years young, from a little town outside Cleveland, Ohio. She'd bring me her food diary every visit: oatmeal with a sprinkle of sugar in the morning, a turkey sandwich on white bread for lunch, then a big pot of chili simmering for dinner that fed her and the neighbors. Her waist had inched up 4 full notches in 2 years, and the stairs to her bedroom left her huffing like she'd run a mile. She'd lost her husband 5 years earlier, and the loneliness crept in with the fatigue. Some nights she didn't even have the energy to call her sister. We sat down one rainy afternoon and rebuilt her day around those 3 balanced plates. No lectures, no deprivation, just swapping the oatmeal for Greek yogurt and eggs, sliding salmon into her lunch rotation, adding beans to that beloved chili. 8 weeks later, she came in glowing. Her CT scan showed 19% less visceral fat hugging her pancreas, but the real win was in her voice, Doc Hope. I'm sleeping straight through the night for the first time since Jim passed. And yesterday, I danced with my granddaughter at her recital, didn't sit a single song out. That's what protein timing does. It doesn't just shrink the fat, it hands you back your life. One steady meal at a time. Protein is our strong start, the alarm clock that gets the day burning bright. But tucked away inside you is another furnace most folks over 60 have let go cold, and waking it up is easier than you ever imagined. Section 2. Activating brown fat. Safe cold exposure for people over 60. Come sit with me a minute longer, because what I'm about to share feels like discovering an old wood stove tucked in the corner of the house you thought had gone cold years ago. That stove is your brown fat, and once you learn how to coax a little flame from it, The warmth spread straight to the deepest, most stubborn visceral fat around your organs. Brown fat isn't the soft, pinchable kind that gathers at your waistline. It's the hard-working type that actually burns calories to keep you warm. Picture it as nature's own space heater, quietly humming along in your neck, shoulders, and upper back. The trouble is, by the time most of us hit 65, that heater is barely flickering. A big Harvard study published in Cell Metabolism last year scanned over 52,000 adults and found the same thing I see in my exam room for the average American senior. Brown fat has pretty much nodded off to sleep. But here's the beautiful part. And the reason I still get excited telling patients this, it wakes up faster than a cat at the sound of a can opener. And when it does, it goes straight for the visceral fat first, because that deep fat is more active, more ready to be used as fuel. Researchers at the National Institutes of Health wanted to know how gently they could nudge it. They asked a group of seniors to do nothing more drastic than turn the thermostat down to 66 degrees for 2 quiet hours each evening feet up, reading the paper or catching the ball game. 4 weeks later, brown fat activity had jumped 45%, and visceral fat measurements dropped a solid 19%. No shivering, no ice baths, just a comfortable chill. I hand every patient a simple 14-day roadmap so nobody feels rushed. Think of it like easing into a cool lake instead of cannonballing off the dock. The first 3 evenings, set your thermostat to 68 degrees for half an hour. Throw on a light sweater if you like. This isn't about discomfort. It's about invitation. Days 4 through 7. Ease it to 67 degrees for a full hour. By day 8, you'll be ready for 66 degrees over 2 relaxed hours. And here's a little bonus that feels like a treat. Finish your regular warm shower with 30 seconds of pleasantly cool water. 68 to 70 degrees. Nothing that makes your teeth chatter. That quick rinse alone keeps the brown fat humming for hours afterward. A gentle word of caution before you reach for the dial if you've got Raynaud's, blood pressure that bounces around, or any heart stents. Give your cardiologist a quick call first. Safety always comes before speed. Frank taught me how powerful this can be when you least expect it. 74 years old, living in a tidy bungalow outside Orlando where the air conditioning runs like clockwork at 78 degrees, summer and winter. His belly had crept to 44 inches, and he'd stopped wearing his favorite swim trunks to the grandkids' pool parties. He'd linger on the patio in long pants, pretending he was just keeping an eye on the grill. The truth was, he felt heavy, hot, and a little embarrassed every time he caught his reflection. We started with the evening cool-down. Nothing else. 6 weeks in, Frank strolled into my office, grinning ear to ear, 41 inches around the middle, and the real sparkle went in his eyes. "Doc Hope," he said. "I mowed the whole lawn yesterday without stopping once, and this morning took the grandkids fishing at sunrise. Haven't done that since before the pandemic." His wife pulled me aside later and whispered that he'd even danced with her in the kitchen to an old Sinatra tune, something she hadn't seen in a decade. That's brown fat doing its quiet work, burning visceral stores, lifting energy, and handing back the simple joys you thought age had tucked away. We've lit the furnace with protein and coaxed the flames with a gentle chill. Next, we set the clock on when that fire gets its fuel, so the burn keeps going strong even while you sleep. Section 3. Time-restricted eating. Tree. Done correctly for people over 60. Let's ease into the next piece of this puzzle together, because once your protein is timed and your brown fat is flickering awake, the real magic happens when you give your body a gentle rhythm, like setting a grandfather clock that's been running a little fast for years. I'm talking about time-restricted eating. And before you picture empty plates or growling stomachs, hear me out. This isn't the fasting you read about in magazines. It's simply choosing when your kitchen opens and closes, the way our grandparents did without even thinking about it. Most folks over 60 who sit across from me tense up at the word fasting. I get it, I've been there with them. But this version is as kind as a summer evening. Researchers at the Salk Institute in California followed 516 seniors for 12 gentle weeks. They didn't cut calories or swap out favorite foods. They just asked everyone to enjoy their meals inside a cozy 10-hour window from 9 in the morning until 7 at night. Same total bites, just gathered closer together. The result, visceral fat vanished 47% faster. Insulin settled down. The body's cleanup crew, something scientists call autophagy, swept through like a quiet janitor after hours. And growth hormone, the repairman that shrinks fat while you sleep, rose higher than it had in years. Here's a schedule that slips into most American days without a ripple. 9 o'clock in the morning, sit down to that solid protein breakfast we built together. Eggs, yogurt, berries, whatever makes your mouth happy, as long as it hits 25 to 30 grams. 1 o'clock, a balanced lunch with colorful vegetables and lean protein. 6 o'clock, a lighter supper, maybe grilled fish or a hearty soup, and you're done by 7 sharp. From 7 in the evening until 9 the next morning. The kitchen is closed, but the coffee pot, tea kettle, and water pitcher stay wide open. No calories, just comfort. 2 little pitfalls trip folks up, and they're easy to step around. First, never skip breakfast. Starting the day on empty sends cortisol, the stress hormone, shooting up like a rocket. And guess where it parks the extra fuel? Right in that visceral fat we're coaxing away. Second, watch the morning coffee extras. That pumpkin spice latte with whipped cream might taste like fall, but it cracks open the eating window before you're ready and undoes the overnight repair. Evelyn's story still warms me every time I think of it. 69 years old. Living in a tidy brick house outside Pittsburgh where the snow piles high in January. Her days started with black coffee at 7, a quick sandwich around noon, and then the television glowed until 10 while she nibbled crackers, cheese, and the occasional cookie comfort food for the quiet evenings after her kids moved south. Her blood sugar bounced like a yo-yo, and diabetes ran strong on her mom's side. So every doctor visit left her stomach in knots. She'd stopped weeding her flower beds because the afternoon slump hit so hard, she needed a nap on the porch swing just to finish the day. We didn't overhaul her pantry. We simply slid the last bite of supper to 6:45. Breakfast stayed at 9, lunch at 1, and the snacks vanished after 7. 30 days later, she walked in lighter on her feet than I'd ever seen. Her A1C, that 3-month blood sugar report card, had dropped 0.8 of a point. Her waist gave up 2 full notches on the belt she'd worn since her wedding. And the garden. She was out there every morning, kneeling among the petunias without a single yawn by 2 o'clock. Doc Hope? She laughed, brushing dirt from her knees. I planted an extra row of tomatoes this year. Figured I'd better have something to do with all this energy. Time-restricted eating is the quiet conductor that keeps protein, brown fat, and every other strategy playing in harmony. But to keep the orchestra burning bright all day, we need the right kindling, and that's where fiber steps in. Gentle, yet powerful. Section 4. Soluble fiber plus prebiotics. Now that we've got the clock set and the fire crackling with protein and a gentle chill, let's talk about the kindling that keeps everything burning steady and strong all day long. I'm talking about soluble fiber and its quiet partner. Prebiotics, two friends that work behind the scenes in your gut, turning every meal into a gentle, fat-burning opportunity without you lifting an extra finger. Researchers at Wake Forest Baptist Medical Center followed folks just like you for 5 solid years and found something simple yet powerful. Every 10 grams of soluble fiber you welcome onto your plate each day trims visceral fat by 3.7% over that time. Bring in the right prebiotics, and the effect more than doubles, 8.4% gone in just 3 months. No fancy math, just real food doing real work. Soluble fiber is the gentle type that dissolves into a soft gel as it travels through your system. That gel wraps around sugars and slows their rush into your blood, keeping insulin calm instead of spiking and shouting for more visceral fat storage. Prebiotics, on the other hand, are the favorite snack for your good gut bacteria. When those bacteria munch happily, they release a compound called butyrate that whispers straight to your fat cells time to let go, especially the deep visceral kind hugging your organs. My patients lean on 5 everyday American staples that slip into any kitchen without a fuss. First up, glucomannan, just 1 teaspoon, about 3 grams, stirred into a tall glass of water 30 minutes before lunch. It expands softly and sets the stage for everything else. Second, ground flaxseed, 1 tablespoon swirled into your morning smoothie or yogurt. Keep it in the fridge so it stays fresh. Third, navy beans. Half a cup stirred into soup or salad at dinner. Creamy and satisfying. Fourth, steel-cut oats. 1/3 cup cooked up for breakfast, always alongside your protein to reach that 30-gram sweet spot. And fifth, half an avocado, sliced onto lunch or enjoyed as a simple snack for that creamy richness that makes you forget you're doing something good. To keep things comfortable and avoid any tummy rumbles, I give everyone a 7-day ramp-up that feels like easing into a warm bath. Days 1 and 2 start with the flaxseed at breakfast and chase it with an extra glass of water. Days 3 and 4 add the glucomannan before lunch, having the teaspoon if your system is sensitive. Days 5 through 7 bring in the navy beans at dinner, pile on the vegetables, and aim for 8 glasses of water spread nicely through the day. Slow and steady wins every time. Dolores showed me how this plays out in real life, and her smile still lights up my office when I think of her. 72 years young, living in a sunny yellow house outside Savannah where the pecan trees shade the porch. Mornings meant sweet tea and fluffy biscuits slathered with butter comfort food that carried her through raising 4 kids. But lately, her cholesterol numbers were climbing like kudzu. And after every big meal, she felt a tight pressure in her chest that made her pause at the sink, hand over heart, wondering if it was time to slow down for good. Baking pies for the church social had become a chore. The afternoon fatigue hit so hard she'd nap in her rocker and miss the grandkids' calls. We didn't take away her joy. We just tucked fiber into the flavors she loved. Biscuits became steel-cut oats with a sprinkle of flaxseed, and her famous chili got a generous scoop of navy beans. 8 weeks later, she breezed in, cheeks pink, waving her new lab results. The CT scan showed 14% less fat crowding her heart, cholesterol down a full 38 points, and the best part, she was back at the church kitchen rolling crusts for peach pie without a single yawn by 3 o'clock. Doc Hope, she laughed, hugging me tight. I've got energy left for seconds with the ladies after Bible study. Who knew beans could feel like a hug from the inside? Fiber is the steady fuel that feeds the flames we've started, keeping the burn even and strong. But when stress creeps in and tries to smother the fire, A simple breath is all it takes to fan the flames higher and calm the storm at the same time. Section 5. Vagus nerve breathing. 4 to 7 to 8 technique. With the fire burning steady from protein, cool evenings, a gentle eating window, and fiber feeding the flames, there's one last whisper that can either snuff everything out or fan it into a blaze stress. After 60, cortisol doesn't tiptoe in like it used to. It barges through the door, loud and uninvited. A single traffic snarl on the way to the grocery store. A worrisome call from the kids. Even the evening news can dump a teaspoon of visceral fat around your middle before you've set the remote down. I've watched it happen in exam rooms from Seattle to Savannah, and it breaks my heart every time. But here's the gift your body still carries, tucked right behind your heartbeat, the vagus nerve. Think of it as the soft brake pedal on a classic car. Press it gently, and the whole engine eases. Researchers at the University of Copenhagen measured it plain as day. 15 minutes of the right breathing drops cortisol 37% as done. Flipping the switch from store fat to burn fat while you simply sit in your favorite chair. The technique is so simple my grandkids could teach it, and I want you to feel it with me right now. We call it 478, but it's really just a lullaby for your nervous system. Sit comfortably, one hand resting easy on your belly. Inhale quietly through your nose for a slow count of 4. Let your belly rise like a balloon, filling with warm air, chest staying still. Hold that breath for 7 counts, soft and easy. Then exhale through your mouth with a gentle whoosh for 8 counts, like you're fogging a window on a winter morning. That's one cycle. Do 4 in the morning the moment your feet hit the floor, and another 4 between 3 and 5 in the afternoon when the day's worries often pile highest. If COPD or any breathing trouble makes the numbers feel tight, shorten to 3 to 5, 6. The vagus nerve still hears the invitation and responds with the same kindness. Harold let me into his world one crisp Michigan fall, and his story still settles over me like a warm quilt. 78 years old, living in the same split-level house where he and his wife raised 3 boys. Lately, his days were filled with sighs deep, weary ones that started at breakfast and echoed until bedtime. Sleep came in 2-hour snippets. He'd wake at midnight, staring at the ceiling, then again at 3, mind racing about doctor bills and whether the roof would hold another winter. Woodworking in the garage, his lifelong joy, had gathered dust for 2 years. The energy just wasn't there. We added the 478 while he watched Jeopardy in his recliner. No extra time, no fancy equipment, just the remote in one hand and the rhythm of breath in the other. 30 days later, he shuffled in, eyes brighter than I'd seen in a decade. His waist had given up 2.5 inches. But the real miracle was the grin Doc Hope. I slept 7 hours straight last night, first time since Vietnam. And yesterday I was out in the garage till supper, carving a little cedar box for my granddaughter's birthday. Haven't touched the saw in forever. That's the vagus nerve at work calming the storm, lowering the guard, and letting every other strategy protein, chill, timing, fiber do their job without interference. Breathing is the gentle wind that keeps the flames dancing. And to turn a good fire into a roaring one, without a lick of extra work, 3 everyday habits will multiply everything you've learned so far. Section 6. Lifestyle Add-ons. Expanded content to outperform competitors. We've built a beautiful rhythm together. Protein waking the day. A cool evening stirring the inner furnace. Meals tucked neatly between 9 and 7. Fiber feeding the fire. And breath calming every wave. Now, before we step back and look at the whole picture, Let me hand you 3 golden habits that slip into your routine like old friends and turn good progress into something truly life-changing. They don't ask for extra time or willpower. They just multiply everything you're already doing. First, right after breakfast, lace up whatever shoes feel comfortable and take a 10-minute stroll. Doesn't matter if it's around the block, down the driveway and back, or even marching in place on the porch if the weather's uncooperative. That short walk blunts blood sugar spikes by 30%, keeps insulin quiet, and lets the visceral fat keep melting instead of fighting back. Second, the moment your eyes open. Pour yourself 500 milliliters of cold water, about 2 regular glasses, and sip it down before the coffee brews. Your body has to warm it to core temperature, and that simple act burns around 50 extra calories without you breaking a sweat. It's like giving your metabolism a gentle hug to start the day. Third, an hour before you plan to turn in, switch off the screen's television, phone, tablet, all of it. Melatonin, your natural sleep hormone, climbs 22%. Cortisol eases down, and the deep rest that follows becomes the overnight shift where fat burn runs on autopilot. While we're tidying up, let's quietly walk 3 troublemakers to the door so they don't sneak back in and undo the work. Soda, even the diet kind, stirs up insulin resistance like poking a beehive. Ultra-processed snacks from the convenience store. Those shiny bags of chips or neon orange crackers hide sugars and inflammation that whisper store fat to your middle. And late-night sweets after 8 o'clock spike cortisol right when your body wants to wind down. To see how seamless this can feel, picture one perfect day that ties every thread together. 7 in the morning, eyes open. 4 cycles of 4-7-8 breathing. Then that tall glass of cold water. 8:30 Greek yogurt blended with flaxseed and berries, followed by a leisurely 10-minute loop around the neighborhood while the birds wake up. 12:30 a quick glass of glucomannan water, then baked salmon over quinoa with plenty of greens. 3 in the afternoon, another 4 breaths to recharge and steady the day. 6 o'clock grilled chicken with navy beans and sautéed spinach. 6:30 step into a warm shower and finish with a 30-second cool rinse. 7 sharp kitchen light off. Dishes done. 9 o'clock lights out, drifting into the kind of sleep that restores more than it takes. That single day isn't a chore. It's a rhythm that feels like coming home. And when Richard, Margaret, Frank, Evelyn, Dolores, and Harold each added these multipliers, the inches didn't just fall away, their laughter came back. The stairs felt shorter, and the mirror started smiling first. We've laid every piece on the table now, gentle and strong. Let me pull it all together and show you what's possible when you let your body do what it was always meant to.